Good evening. It's so much fun to be here and share some amazing food with you guys. I want to know how many of you guys have had raw food before? Oh, good. All right. So I'm not from another planet tonight. That's good. Well, my name is Terri, as she said, and I have been on this journey for a number of years, probably about 16 years now, as far as moving in this direction. I didn't just jump off into this one day. But I'm going to start off with a little PowerPoint presentation and kind of go through some things, not only about my own personal testimony, but also why scientifically raw food is something we need an incredible amount more in our diet and what it does for us with our bodies. So first of all, this is my daughter. She's actually in the back of the room back there. And I've been a single mom now for 22 years. And when I had Tiana, she, when I was 30 years old, she was born, I had toxemia. I was 240 pounds when I delivered her, and I had high blood pressure, of course, that came with the toxemia. I didn't even know what that was. I asked the doctors, it's like, what is that? And they didn't tell me what it was. I know now I was a toxic dump, was basically what it was in a nutshell. And so my daughter was born with jaundice, bilirubin, low bilirubin, and which really means that her liver was not up to speed when she was born. It was because she was so overloaded with what I was overloaded with. And so what's really interesting is that just yesterday actually, after living through our vegetarian and vegan background, she decided to go on a 30-day raw, so I'm really proud of her for making that choice, because that's going to help her to hopefully reverse some of this. And as I go through, you'll understand why. This is the diet that I used to eat. This is what I ate on a regular, I'm not talking sometimes, this is what I ate all the time. I drank 2 to 3 64-ounce Diet Cokes every single day for almost 20 years. I smoked a pack of cigarettes a day for 23 years. And this is a diet that I switched to when I became vegetarian 16 years ago. Do you guys see any difference there? No, that basically is the same diet with a different name. It's a junk food vegetarian diet. But I didn't know. I thought I was doing really, really good. It said vegetarian, so it must be good. What ended up happening was, as I was approaching 50, I'll be 52 this next month. And as I was approaching 50, I was getting sicker. I was getting the flu like every few months. I got it like 5 times in 18 months. The last 2 times I had it with bronchitis. So it was getting progressively worse, and now it was requiring, medical intervention, to keep from going into pneumonia, which I did not like at all, which sent my already soaring blood pressure up to the 200 range, over hundreds and something. It was just out of control. Back when, just to give you an idea also where I came from, when I was 27, I was not really too badly overweight at that point, but I had a cholesterol of 350. So I was in a high stress situation. I smoked a pack of cigarettes a day, like I said, and just on and on. So as I approached this vegetarian diet, I expected things to be going in the right direction, but I'm finding, wow, they're not. Why am I getting sick, so often? And why do I have to go to the doctor now and get these medications and so forth? So that's when, the last time that I got sick was when I got an opportunity to experience this along with the 10-day cleanse that I went through. And it turbocharged me. It took me to the moon with my whole health. And it didn't mean that I was, all of a sudden everything was oh, that's why it's beeping. It didn't mean that everything was just all 100%. But I mean, I felt hugely better, and I was going in the right direction. So this is the kind of food that I started to enjoy. It was like, wow, First time I had raw pizza, I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting. Even though I just got done with 5 days of juicing and I was starving, it's like anything's going to taste good. But I was like, really, seriously, raw pizza? Oh my goodness, when I took the first bite, I was like, you got to be kidding me. And as I go along, these things that I experience, even today, it just keeps going, wow, how in the world did we get, this is the real food. People say to me, oh, does that taste like the real stuff? It's like, this is the real stuff. That's the fake stuff. And so some of this you guys are going to be able to enjoy tonight. This was me in 2009. This is a picture of me in 2011. I battled my weight all my life. Since I was 13, before that, but when I was 13, I went on a Weight Watchers diet and lost 20 pounds and, did pretty good with that. But my typical thing was to learn how to count calories and watch the fat and, make sure you get some exercise and all this other stuff, like the rat in the wheel, so to speak, continually throughout my years. When I got onto this, it just took care of itself. Now I eat what I want, when I want, and actually, to tell you the truth, and I'm not 100% raw, I eat cooked food, but I've got on average an 80 to 90% raw to 10 to 20% cooked. Everything is whole, I should say 99%, because every once in a while I go out and get Red Robin French fries, okay? 99% whole plant-based food, which, I didn't mean to say that because potatoes are whole. But they're cooked in a good way and so forth. But it's whole foods. I got it whole when it got into my hand out of the produce or the bulk section. And then I turned it into food like what you're seeing here, or like my beans and potatoes and things like that. But in any case, I've lost over 80 pounds in the last 2.5 years. No, excuse me. I'm sorry. That's since I gave birth to Tiana. In the last 2.5 years, it's been about. I was at about 200, and I'm down to about 150 something now. So, and it's effortless at this point. This is the reason why I used to eat the typical 3, 4, 5 times a day, like they tell you to do. Eat 5 small meals a day or whatever. And what's happened, I'd heard about people only eating twice a day, and I thought, wow, that's rough. I don't think I could do that. That's not the case anymore. I now naturally will eat 2, maybe 2.5 times. If I eat anything in the evening, usually it's something, small. Usually, sometimes, it's not the case, but usually it's something small. 2 meals a day is what my body lives on because of what's called biophotons. Biophotons are low-level light waves emitted by the cells of most living things. Plant materials soak up the stored photons radiated by the sun, transforming them into biophotons. This picture right here is a plant. And there's a special picture that took that so that you could see the light in that living thing. The discovery of biophotons is Russian scientist Alexander Gershwin back in 1923. He's the original discoverer. And then German scientist Fritz Albert Popp took it a step further and really understood more. And he developed a device that could measure these low-level light waves, and so that we could actually see them with our eyes. And nutritional relevance, this is based on research with his biophoton meter. Popp found that the emissions from healthy people are significantly stronger than those people that are ill. This is a picture of a human being right here. You can see the face area is where you see most of the bright light. And that's because that's the area that's most subjected to the sunlight. So everything living pretty much has these biophotons in them. It's our cells. It's live energy in our cells. So, but when we're sick, when they take pictures of these biophotons, they're diminished. In his biophoton evaluations of various foods, Popp found that organic foods growing in the wild emitted twice as many biophotons as cultivated organic crops, while the latter gave off 5 times as much biophotonic energy as commercially grown foods. So over here on the left, you've got organic mushrooms, and on the right, you've got a conventional mushroom. They both have light, but you can see significantly more coming from the organic food. They also discovered that cooked or irradiated food emitted virtually no biophotons. So on the left, you've got cooked cabbage. This is the way we typically cook cabbage. They took a picture of it. It looks like it's been burned. It's just totally black. There's no life in it. And then on the right, you see live cabbage, all that life. Live food, live body. Kind of makes sense there. Raw carrot on the right, slightly steamed carrot on the left. Now there's still a lot of light going on. So if you're going to cook your vegetables, you really want to cook them in on a slightly steamed, crunchy, still got the color going on. That indicates that there's life in it. There's light still in it. Actually, as you learn from my classes, the things that I teach, there's ways to actually enjoy your foods without steaming them that you would swear they've been steamed the way that we prepare them. So there's a raw tomato on the left and a slightly cooked tomato on the right. Broccoli, we've got the raw on the left and the slightly steamed on the right. You can see that bright green going on because it's a little bit steamed. Actually, the broccoli that I make, I don't steam it, and again, that's one of those that you would think that it's been steamed. I can eat like this much kale because it comes down to this much when I prepare it, without steaming it. Usually when you steam something, you can eat a whole bunch, but a lot of that life is gone. And so anyway, that kind of gives you an idea of why it's important to put more live foods into the diet. It's really ideal to, if you can start off, if you can look at your plate and you see 50% of it, a big 50% of it is raw, whether it be salad or whatever, you're doing good for a start. That's what I start off with. And as you continue on, adding more of these raw dishes in, what it's going to start to do is it's going to edge out more of those cooked foods. And the ideal situation is to eat your raw before you eat your cooked, if you're going to have cooked with it. Eat your raw first, because what happens when we eat cooked food first, it turns on the killer white blood cells. They go to attack that because they don't recognize it, because it's dead. And that's the reason why in the afternoon you get real sluggish and tired. There's no energy in that food. It's totally took all the white blood cells from the rest of the body, the brain, down to the stomach to break down that enemy and get rid of it. So if you start off with the raw food, it will slow down that what they call leukocytosis, or the white blood cell attack kind of thing. And like I said, I don't eat 100% raw, so that's how I try to do it, is really start off with my raw and then start incorporating the cooked in it. So. Okay, here I am turning 52 next month, and I feel better by far than I did in my 20s. I don't have any blood pressure problems. My blood pressure, I just took it the other day, it was par excellent. My cholesterol level is great. I don't have, lifelong asthma. My lifelong asthma to environmental, primarily animals, is 99% gone. I lived with 2 cats for several months last year. And that was amazing, because just 2.5 years ago, I couldn't be in a room for 10 minutes. So these things that are medically impossible to turn around absolutely can be turned around with this diet and lifestyle. I don't have headaches anymore. I don't take tons and tons of ibuprofen. I don't even take one ibuprofen. I don't need it. My weight, and just on and on. No menopause symptoms that started up at 48, they're gone. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started with some of the food. I think that covers kind of a little bit about where I come from. And if you have more questions on that, you're more than welcome to ask me when we're done. Before I get too far off, though, I know I'm going to get caught up, and I'm going to maybe be forgetting to talk about a couple things. I want you to know that there are cards on the table over here that talk about what I do. and what I offer individuals. I do personal chefing if anybody is needing that. Sometimes we're really, really busy and we'd like to have somebody kind of help us a little bit. But a lot of the stuff that I do is I teach people. I teach people what I know because it's very simple. One of the things that I do want to highlight is that my grocery bill from 5 years ago, when everything hit the fan, it's below that. I was spending for Tiana and I about $100 to $125 a week. We're down to $50 a week, maybe $60, and we eat this way. So I'll show you how I do that. And so I will do a live chef for a week in your home if you would like to do that. I also do lifestyle coaching where I'll take you through a 5 or 10 day cleanse and detox, and then a rebuild, which includes 5 days of my food that I make. The small and large private group instruction through if you guys have a group that you want me to come into and talk to. I do also dinner parties. So if you really want to do something really cool with all your friends, something different, have me come over and do a dinner party for you. And like I said, a personal chef, I will work with you to seek to do what you're looking for personally. That's really what I really want to be able to customize, because everybody's in different places. So my website and my Facebook pages are on there. I encourage you to take advantage of those. And on the back also there's a cookbook. This is not written by me, but it's written by a very good friend of mine. And it was the book that I used to get started in learning how to do raw. Now there is cooked and raw here, so they're great recipes for both. That's the reason why I have it and I offer it, so people have a good transitional book. So if you'd like that, let me know afterwards. You'll buy that directly from me. They're $20 each, and what I have back there is all that I have. All right, so what we'll do is get started on the onion rings. The onion rings, believe it or not, these are raw. They're going to be on the crunchy side when I get done with them. What I did was I took the onion and I've got a mandolin here. If you've never used a mandolin, it's a great tool to have in your kitchen. It's very inexpensive. It has, different ones, and they've got different settings. I'm going to take this up to the highest setting, which is about 1/4 of an inch. You can make these really thin. The ones that I'm serving tonight, I made both. I made the little bit smaller and the bigger ones. The smaller ones are going to take less time to cook, and they're going to be more dehydrated. The thicker they are, the longer they take, and so forth. But both of them are delicious. So I'm just going to go ahead and may have to go ahead and cut this in half because it's too big for the mandolin. And it's okay to have, sometimes you're going to have to cut it in half so you're not going to have rings. But by the time you get done with it, it's not even really going to look like rings anyway. It's more like strings. How many of you guys go over to Red Robin? If you've ever seen their onion strings, that's what these look like. Only these are the good ones that are good for you. Be careful with the mandolin, though. I tell you what, I lost my protector shield. Not a good thing, but all right. So set this to the side. Now I've got my onion rings, and the way to, if you want to make this, if you want to prepare your onions are an outstanding food that heals. Has tremendous value for natural antibiotics. When you're sick, the more onions and garlic you can get down, the better. It will really boost up your immune system, especially if you're putting good foods in. If you're trying to chase bad foods, don't even bother. That's what was happening to me 2.5 years ago. I was chasing, bad stuff, and so it wasn't doing anything all of a sudden. It was, so it gives like natural remedies kind of a bad name. But if you're doing good foods while you're sick, like what we talked about with lots and lots of biophotons, and you're putting in lots of onion and garlic, you can be well in 2 or 3 days, where most people are like 2 or 3 weeks. So what I do to be able to eat these on my salad when they're really strong, which this onion is not, you put a squeezed lemon or lime onto it, and within, a couple of minutes, there's no more, right away actually, the sting, it'll stop stinging your eyes and everything. It'll take that away. Add good flavor to it, and I will store my onions in a container. I'll just cut up a bunch of them, stick them in a container with some lemon juice, and then as I need it for a salad, pull it out, put it on, and it's so good you just sit there and eat it. Kind of like the Walla Wallas. One of the things about onions is that the stronger they are, the more of the properties that they have in them that are good for us. So by doing this, you're not taking away from those, but you're taking away that sting that kind of keeps you away from it. So I'm just going to let this sit and soak in the onion. Actually, what I'm going to do also is put a little bit of salt on it. Just a little bit, because I'm going to have salt in the mixture also. So I'm going to let that sit for a couple minutes while I move on to my burgers, and then I'll come back and finish those. Let's see. Excuse me, we're going to do the mac cheese first. So if you want to turn to your recipe to the macadamia cheese. Let's see. Vitamix. Sorry, I'm getting confused here. All right. So what we've got on the mac cheese is a cup of macadamia nuts. And you can use all cashews if you want. You can use all macadamias if you choose. I talk to people that really prefer just the macadamia, and then others that, if the price is a little too high, go ahead and put cashews. It does affect the flavor just a little bit, but not too bad. So a cup of that, and then a half cup of fresh squeezed lemon juice. I don't buy the bottled because I want it fresh, so we'll put that in there. And let's see, garlic. I'm going to go ahead and put a couple garlic cloves in there. I want to make sure that gets really nice and blended. Usually I will blend the garlic first, but it'll be okay. And then your cashews. We've got a cup of cashews.
Are there any other types of nuts that would work well?
Oh, Brazil nuts. Yeah, it won't be the same flavor. Almonds. You can use any kind of nut you want. Experiment. But for this flavor on this one, it is going to be different. But yes. Yes.
Do you ever soak your nuts? Or?
I do. I try to. Usually when I'm when I'm doing my own nuts, I will soak them and then dehydrate them, and then keep them in the freezer. Yeah.
Is that your preference?
Not every single recipe, because especially if I haven't dehydrated it, because if I haven't gone ahead and soaked them and dehydrated them, I don't want them wet. These I didn't, because they came from the store, and I didn't, pre-do it at home. But yes, it's best to soak your nuts because it takes off that enzyme inhibitor. A lot of nuts, like your walnuts and the macadamia, pretty much. I'm just going to say I don't think, and same thing with cashews, they don't have that enzyme inhibitor on them like the walnut and the almonds do, which is that protective coating that keeps it from sprouting before it's put into water. So, nutritional yeast flakes gives it a little bit of cheesy flavor. That is optional. That's not raw, but it is optional. Red bell pepper. Red bell pepper, a small one chopped up.
Could you substitute for the bell pepper?
You don't even have to have it in there. It is optional. Celtic sea salt. And I use the sea salt with the minerals in it. Because I really believe the reason why we have a problem with salt is because we've stripped everything good from it, even sea salt. If you see sea salt and it's all white, and most of it is, if it doesn't have all those little crystals, if it doesn't say, you look at the label. Celtic is good, Himalayan is good, real salt, that's this one right here. This is the one here at the store, real salt, and so it's got that coloring in it, natural coloring, which indicates the minerals. So I'm going to go ahead and put this, and I'm just going to add a little bit of water. The stove doesn't like me to put anything on it. All right, and we're going to start to blend this. I don't really want a lot of water in it because I don't want it to be really runny. And so less is best. You can always add more. Vitamix is really key here, but if you have another blender, it's okay. It's just not going to be quite as creamy, but it will still taste really good. That should be pretty good. It's a nice creamy consistency, and I think you guys will really like the flavor of this. I've shared it with people who were like standing there mocking me, going, "I suppose you're going to tell me that's going to taste like cheese." I was like, "No, you tell me." And the guy's like, "Tastes like cheese." So this, one of the keys to, if you want to add, a lot more raw into your diet, is to have, I guess I'm moving towards, if somebody really wants to have 80-90% in, is to have a couple of sauces on hand, because when you've got these sauces, you can, do a lot. A lot of times I will be really hungry, and I will hit the fridge, grab one of these, and the rest of it I'll just maybe throw some olives and some tomatoes and avocados and mushrooms. Just in 5 minutes I've got something to eat. And so there's your cheese sauce. All right. So I didn't even use half the water, so just really be careful with that water. There you go. Thanks. You got it? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and go back to the onion rings for a second. What I'm going to do is put the wet mixture in to the onions. The wet mixture is 2 parts oil to 1 part water. So I've got a cup of water here. Actually, I'm going to take away half of this because I know I don't need it with just this one onion. If I had a couple of onions, I would make your note there on your recipe, cut that in half for just 1 large onion. So we got a half cup of water, and we'll put a cup of light olive oil is what I'm using. I prefer to use light whenever I can. I know it kind of goes against what people say about the extra virgin, but the extra virgin has a lot of, the thing about, I use oils, but I try not to use them as much as possible because it is a processed food. And so the longer it sits on the shelf, the more rancid it becomes, and the worse it is for you. Now, the more chlorophyll there is in it, my understanding is, of course, that goes bad faster. And so that's the reason why I use this more than I use the extra virgin. So we'll just put that in there, and we'll add a little bit of salt. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into a strainer because I want as much of the liquid to drain off. I don't want to just stick this in with my dry ingredients and get all that all clumpy, as little clumps as I can. All right, and then just stick it in a bowl and let it sit there for a minute. Put this to the side. And now for the dry ingredients, what I did was I went ahead and took the almonds and I turned them into flour with the Vitamix. And you just put that in there and grind that down as fine as you can. And then I'm going to take my flaxseed, and I like to get my flaxseed unground. The reason being is because it's fresher longer. I keep it in the freezer at home, and then I grind it, so then that way, again, the more whole it is when I get a hold of it, the better. So grind it down. Okay, basically 50-50 on those two ingredients, and then we'll add, again, just a little bit of salt because you've got some salt going on already. And then I like to use smoked paprika. You can use paprika, the regular paprika if you like. I like the flavor of the flavor of the smoked, and you can be as liberal as you like or not. You don't even have to put this in. It gives it a nice color too. The reason why there's no measurements on there is it's to your taste. Okay. All right. Now what we're just going to do is take our onion that's drained off, put it in here, and usually I will pour this over the top, but it'll work either way. And just coat your onions. And then you can cook this in your oven. I have not done this, but I have no doubt that you could on low with the door open on it. It's going to take, a while to do that, so it'll probably, be more electricity than you might want. Where the dehydrator runs on very, very little. And because this is going to take, these larger ones took me about 48 hours, almost 2 days to get down to where I wanted them. The really fine ones that were just a notch below the setting on the mandolin only took me 18 hours, and they were almost on the too dry side. So just lay those out there on your dehydrator sheets, and you and do 2 sheets here. And you want to, at different sections, say 6-8 hours into it, kind of go in there and flip it upside down, and then another 8-10 hours, go and do it again to kind of keep it evenly dehydrated. And even if...
Can you repeat that last statement? I was kind of admiring your onion rings and I wasn't paying attention.
You were in a trance.
I was.
What I was saying was that you want to go through, say, every 8 to 10 hours and just kind of flip them a little bit. And they will come down about almost half this size in the dehydrator. I don't like to petrify mine. I like to have them a little bit, you know, you'll see on your burger. But again, that's to taste. So, oops, let's see, yeah, that's right. All right. All right. Right. Okay, so here's the onion rings. All right, now we're going to do the burgers. And for that, we'll need the food processor. It's back on page 1 there. And the first thing that we're going to put in there is, we're not going to put the jalapeno or the onions in until I'm done, because we don't want to turn that into, we're going to turn the rest of this into a burger consistency. So we're going to put in the sun-dried tomatoes that have been soaked, the mushrooms, you can put those in whole because they're going to grind up, and put in your seasonings. Now the burger seasoning on this, I make my own burger seasoning because I don't like sugar in my condiments. So I use stevia in mine. So your seasoning mix is there if you want to make your own as well. And you can buy all those individual things in the bulk section. And we've got tamari, which is not raw, but it adds just a little bit of flavor, and it does have just it is a soy product, but it is organic, and it is wheat-free also. So for those of you like me that are gluten intolerant. A little bit of pepper, and we'll go ahead and put in our walnuts that have been soaked, half cup of the walnuts. We'll go ahead and grind that up first. You can add moisture to this. I try not to add moisture because I sometimes have to sit there and wring it out trying to, so I don't want it dripping because I'm putting it in the dehydrator for a little while. I'm not going to do this dehydrator for very long on this. We're going to go ahead and put the carrot pulp. This is optional. You can put whatever vegetable you want in here. This is basically a veggie patty. And the carrot pulp is from the juicer, but if you don't have a juicer, just put regular carrot in there. It's going to add a little bit more moisture to it, but it'll be good. You can put celery in there, or anything you want.
How many carrots do you have to juice to get 1 cup of pulp?
Oh, not that many. It's the juice that you have to take. So if you're trying to get more juice, but the pulp. What do we use? About 4 maybe today to get all of this. 4 or 5, and this is actually more than what I called for in the recipe. Again, this is one of those. This kind of food is the kind of thing that there's really not a whole lot of rules except in the seasoning. As long as you don't over salt it or something, or put too much hot in it, like sometimes I do. My daughter's like, "Mom's got the cayenne." You can really mix and match however you want and get away with it. I'm going to add, because this seems to be a little bit on the drier side, I am going to add a little bit of the sun-dried tomato juice. I'll save that sun-dried tomato juice just for this, for just a little bit. I don't keep it for a long time. Come on. Okay, it's pretty much there. So what I'll do is, let's see here. I ran out of dehydrator sheet space, so I'm just going to show you how I make the patty. I've already pre-made what we're going to be eating tonight. But if you just take if you want an evenly done burger, take a big one, or this is a bigger one. I thought I had the smaller one, but because you'll find with this whole plant-based food, especially raw, you will not eat like you're accustomed to eating cooked food. You'll eat far less. Right, Kathy?
Now, did you add the jalapeno and onion?
You know what, you're right. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you for saying that.
Sure.
I'll put that in the bowl in here.
Don't want to forget that stuff.
No.
Have you read very much about stevia in terms of the research on it and that kind of thing? Someone made a statement to me that they're not sure if they really trust it.
I can't, I have a hard time with that because first of all, I know that, well, okay, the stevia, the white stevia has been processed and I mean, because I've seen the real stuff is a leaf. It comes from a plant. I don't see anything wrong with that at all. I can't see how they would say, other than if it's processed and it's, been, but it's way better than any other sugars out there by far.
I think so. So look for the raws.
I use the white stuff because I use so little of it. Mostly I'm using dates, pure maple syrup. Pure maple syrup is not a raw thing. But that and dates and raw honey are the things that I use the most of. But there's things that I will use just a little, and it's just a minute amount that I don't go to town on. The fact that it's. But yes, you can buy it. You can buy it. And it's kind of it's green, and I haven't figured out how to use that real well because you have to use a lot more of it. A friend of mine actually had a garden and she grew it.
I've used the leaves and just chopped them up or put them in the Vitamix.
Yeah.
Add a little bit of sweet.
Yeah.
I'm used to eating tons of sugar all the time. It tastes.
Right, exactly. All right, so now I'm going to take my mason jar lid and just form my patty. You don't have to do this, but if you want a nice patty. There's your patty. Put those on the dehydrator. Dehydrate those for, depending on whether you've got big ones like this or smaller ones. Just a couple hours to warm it up is fine, but I like to have mine a little bit on the browner side. And so I will leave it in there, maybe 5-6 hours. And so there you go. Thanks. All right. And what would raw off the grill be if it didn't have its barbecue sauce? Gotta have our barbecue sauce. This is a good one too. The Vitamix is what you're going to use for this. And what we've got is a cup of sun-dried tomatoes that have been soaked till they're soft. And a quarter cup of the apple cider vinegar. I like to use the Bragg's, but anything that's not processed or what is it? What do I want to say?
Pasteurized?
Pasteurized, thank you. So, and then we've got liquid smoke. Liquid smoke is, it's made with, they've made that with hickory, concentrated hickory, to give that kind of little bit of, you don't have to, is this? Oh, here it is. It was, it's almost like a light color, but it gives that, that's what you guys smelled when you came in here tonight, because we accidentally spilled a little bit. So a little bit of that, that's optional, you don't have to have that. Then what we've got is the white onion, which actually I've got a purple onion here, which will work just fine. I'm going to give it a rough chop. And wheat-free tamari. Lemon juice, fresh lemon juice. I'm going to hold off on the water because we don't want to go, always, you know, it's better to go less to begin with. And all right, so then you can use your 1/4 cup of raw honey or pure maple syrup. And a pinch of cayenne. Tiana says, don't you dare put that whole amount in. She did. All right, and then garlic and the salt. And again, be careful with the salt, just because you may not want that much salt as is on the recipe. Sometimes, I don't know, sometimes it changes, and so it's better to be safe. So, yes?
Do you ever use smoked salt?
Smoked salt, I would love to use it, but I haven't seen it yet. Oh, I have a salt that I like to use. It's egg flavor. And it comes, it's a sulfur. It's got natural sulfur in it. And we like to make a wilted spinach salad with that. It tastes just like you got eggs in it. It's crazy. Water in here and it's blending really well.
What speed are you getting on the Vitamin?
High. I move it up to high. I am, you don't have to. I mean, you want to kind of get it up there, but that's good. It doesn't need any more salt, and I put about half the amount of salt in there. So, cayenne gives it a good zip. You see how easy this is? It really is easy because it's just dump and blend on all these recipes. I guess the biggest time that it takes is preparation, you know, chopping things up or, you know, pulling it out or whatever. Yeah, it takes a little bit more time than opening a package and throwing it on the stove, but the benefits outweigh that by far. When you get your health back at this age, and you're laughing all the way to the bank, literally. I'm actually really excited that I'm in my 50s now. I mean, I never thought I'd ever say that, but I am. It's like, bring it on. I don't know about 60, but hey, if it's anything like this, why not? There you go. Thank you. All right, so barbecue sauce. All right, we're going to start the Keylime Pie with the crust. I'm just going to use the small food processor here for this. On your crust, again, you can use just cashews if you like. You can use almonds. You can use whatever you want. For this particular recipe, even if you just use cashews, that would be great. It kind of gives it a really distinct cookie kind of, using the macadamia. It's probably my favorite recipe for crust. So we've got the 1.25 cups of macadamia nuts, and then 1/4 cup cashews, and a couple of tablespoons of pure maple syrup.
Do you use a grade B or maple syrup?
What is it?
Does it matter?
No, I prefer the one that I really like the other. This is grade A. I do like B, but I choose A because of the price, you know, most of the time. Just a pinch of salt and coconut oil. I kind of had to melt it on the stovetop here. And let's see, what did I do with my... Just a couple of tablespoons of melted coconut oil. Kind of, the purpose of that is it kind of sets it up so that you can cut it nicely without falling apart. I don't really want this to be real mushy. All right. And what I've got here, you can put this in any pan that you want. I like the springform pan because of what it, the presentation that it gives. I will make little tarts with this also. They have those little tart containers. Makes really good pie. All right, and then you're just going to press this into the bottom of the pan evenly. This evenly in there.
Terry, you made the hamburgers, can you freeze them and then?
Oh, yes. Good question. She asked if we could freeze the burgers. Absolutely. It's a great idea to make a whole bunch of them, put it in the freezer, pull one out, warm it up in the dehydrator, and even if you warmed it up in the oven, it'd be really good, better than some of the stuff that you'll buy out there.
Would you dehydrate it first before you put it in the freezer, or would you put it in the freezer?
Either way.
If they're frozen, how long would you put them in the dehydrator to warm them up?
Till they're warm. Yeah.
I mean, a couple of hours or?
It might be. I have not frozen mine yet. I haven't had a need to yet, but I mean, if it's thawed out, it's only going to take, you know, if you turn it on 115, maybe if they're all thawed out, it'll take maybe the same 4 or 5 hours. If they're frozen, well, it'll take longer. Okay, so the pie crust is there. Can you see in the back? Okay. And we will come back to, in just a minute, the filling. First, we're going to go ahead and make the dip. We're going to do a chip and dip. And this is a cucumber dip. It can also be used as a salad dressing. Either way.
Make sure
So,
you hang on to your plates for the dip
yep.
as well.
Strain out. I did soak the cashews for a little while here. Go ahead. Those in there. And check my recipe here. It's a creamy cucumber dip, so we'll put a small cucumber. This is more of a medium. It's okay. It'll work fine. And you can de-seed this if you want. I'm just going to put all of it in. And it's going to blend up to a cream. Roughly chop it so it gives it a good, so it blends well. Okay. All right, and gonna hold off on the water. Actually, I usually rarely ever use water in this, especially if I'm doing a dip. I want it thick. If you want to thin it down for a dressing, go ahead and add just a little bit of water. The juice of half of a lemon. I'm going to use a lime. Either way, it works. I kind of use lemons and limes interchangeably. So, for most things. I'm going to go ahead and put the amount, the whole thing in here since the limes are smaller than the lemons. And a little bit of salt. Going to add about half of that right now. And we're going to add, I got some fresh dill here, which you don't want to put the full amount in at first, so save some for the end. So we'll start off with that. Calls for half of a bunch. You know, this is one of those seasonings that I don't believe in that we can overdo it. Dill is good. Go ahead and blend that down to a cream. Check the salt flavoring in it, make sure we got enough salt. That's good. And we'll add some more dill to it, kind of lightly blend it in. Just mix it in. And there you go. Let's see here. Oh, I'm going to put it in the cups here. nice fresh dip. And what I've done is serve this. You can a nice light chip that you won't do anything to your waistline is lettuce chips. What I used for the lettuce chips was is romaine, and I cut off the about 2/3 of the way up. I took the top leafy part off, and I use that for my salad. And then I cut the bottom off, and then I had and I cut those a little bit smaller for tonight's purposes. They can be smaller, they can be bigger, but just there's your chip, and there's your dip.
So you said the top 2/3 you cut off? And so
Yes. No, excuse me. I went from the bottom up. I went about 2/3 of the way up to get that leafy part off, and saving that for a lettuce, and getting the crunchy part and I cut those, down to size for the chips.
Good idea.
All right. Michael will bring that around to you as she can, and we'll go ahead and do the final phase of our Keylime Pie. Oh, thank you. I wouldn't.
They last maybe a week.
Maybe they might last about 5 days. I mean,
And if you ate this way and were really strict about it, how long do you take you to start feeling a little bit better?
oh, very quickly. Very quickly. A 10-day, just give you an idea, a 10-day detox when we work with people. We work with people that are dealing with cancer, you name it, Lyme's disease, where like a lady that came in, she was on a walker and was having a hard time, just getting that into the residence there. In 3 days, maybe it was the 4th day, 3 or 4 days, she was walking 4 miles a day. It was that fast. Because what happens is you start to get all that toxic buildup out, and the body can start to breathe, and the body's an amazing machine. It's a miracle that we're even still alive based on how we treat ourselves. But just as amazing as that is as amazing as even more so at how fast things can reverse. So when you start eating like this, you can, we know our friend Megan, she was saying how, like in her first week, she felt amazing. It felt like exercising. Yeah. So my daughter, Tiana, she started yesterday like I said, on her 30-day raw. And in the first day, she's like, man, this food tastes so good. Even though she's been eating it, she's been really concentrating on the cooked, and it's kind of like that has kept her. But anyway, I said, well, how are you feeling? How's your body feeling? She goes, actually, very good in day 1. And that was a big jump, because she was not feeling good.
Had she done the detox
No.
before?
I've done a couple of things with her, but until somebody's ready, they are not ready. And so she was not ready. She's ready now. And that's the reason why I had to back off at one point. Because, the people that we care about the most, we know this knowledge, and it's like we really want to go, come on, I don't want you to die. But I tell you what, it's like when I smoked. Nobody was going to pull those cigarettes out of my hand. And I would beat them over the head first. It's like, leave me alone. But when I was ready, I was ready. But the greatest influence, and this is what my daughter told me a long time ago, and I was like, okay. She said, Mom, if you'll just quit badgering me, I'm watching what you're doing, and I'm seeing the results. But when you badger me, it actually pushes them off the other edge. So if you want to see change in the world, be the change that you want to see, and watch people come along and go, wow, I want what you got. Okay, so This is the filling, believe it or not, for your key lime pie. This is so good. How many of you guys had key lime pie before? Regular key lime pie. How many of you guys have had this kind of key lime pie before? A couple of you. Okay. First of all, what we're going to do is take the avocados and dice those up in to the Vitamix, because the longer you blend this, the more chance that you have of it turning brown. So you want it blended quickly as possible into a cream, and if you throw it in there whole, it's going to take longer and run that risk. You want the nice bright green color. You just cut that in the shell there into dice it in the shell, and then we'll scoop it out with a spoon in a second. It goes a lot easier than trying to go the other way around of peeling it. So next time you go to a party, you bring your chips and dip, and you can sit there and have a party and not feel guilty about it. And you take that cheese that was on your burger, excellent cheese and chip. You can sit there and eat a whole head of lettuce doing that and feel good about it. All right. Now these are small avocados, so I added a fifth one to it. If you've got a larger avocado, I'd go with the 4, like I typically do.
We do have more samples, but they're in the cups pre-prepared, so you don't need to.
Oh yeah, you're going to get some pie.
Do you know that you have spatulas?
Thank you. No, I didn't see that. Oh my goodness, what would I do without you guys? It's been a long day, I guess. By this time of the day, I'm kind of turning into a pumpkin. But this is so much fun. I really enjoy doing this for people more than anything I've ever done. I used to sell Medicare supplements, and that was depressing. Going home every night doing drug plans for everybody, knowing full well what I knew would change their life. And so, lime zest, the zest of 1 lime, and your lime juice, and pure maple syrup. Again, you can use honey if you want. I don't choose to use agave, but you can if you want. Okay. Just going to blend this down. Thank you. Coconut oil. Wow. Let's see. Coconut oil is half of a cup. So let's see. Where did my half of a cup go? This is going to make a difference in your setup of your pie. If you don't want to use the oil, you don't have to. What I would do if I were going to do that is I would make individual servings like what I'm served you guys tonight in a little cup. And it's more like a pudding. You can crumble the crust in the bottom, put the pie filling in there, have a little bit of pudding, and put the little berry topping that, just like that. If you don't want to use the oil. But if you want a nice pie that cuts nicely, use the oil. Looks really good, but I'll give it one more whiz. Okay, it's nice and creamy. Pour this in the shell, and what I'll do is I'll keep this in the freezer. It actually is wonderful, straight out of the freezer, cut. And if you want to leave it for, a couple minutes to, just a few minutes to kind of thaw just a little bit. I like mine a little bit on the frozen side. Tonight I didn't freeze yours. I put it in the refrigerator. But anyway, these desserts like this, you don't have to hurry up and eat it. That's the good thing. You can put it in the freezer and have a piece, a small piece, because it will keep in the freezer very well and eat straight out of it. So we'll just put this in the freezer, and then once it's set up, I will go ahead and cut it and then put a dollop of that the berry sauce that you have on your recipe. I've gone ahead and made that. That's so simple. You just put that in your food processor, those ingredients, whiz it up, and if you don't have your fresh, you can use frozen. You can, change out what I put blueberries in today. You can use strawberries or blackberries, or raspberries, whatever you want. I like the blue or the black with the green, but anyway, so then I will serve that individually with the sauce. So there's the pie, and I think that's it. Did you go ahead and bring the dessert?
They're in the, oh.
They're in the. I got them in the big freezer, the refrigerator there. So, do you guys have any questions on anything? Go ahead.
I was wondering where you got your training to do this. This is really exciting.
On the job. Yeah, no, honestly, I really believe the Lord has taught me, honestly, because I actually had a desire, the more I had a desire to learn this, I just started praying about it. I believe the scripture that says in Genesis 1:29, where it says, your fruits, nuts, grains, and seeds shall be meat for you. And I also believe the scripture says, "In the leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nations." Because that's exactly this is what God has given us. And Hippocrates came along, and he obviously, he was speaking in connection with that same truth. He said, let your medicine be your food, and your food be your medicine. And so as I went along, I just had different opportunities to work with amazing people and learn this stuff and just continue to just had the desire from my heart to just continue doing it. So now it's like, that's how I got here. It's very simple. It really is. And that's the reason why I work with people on a one-on-one basis, so then that way, or in small groups or whatever, so then that way you can learn to do this in your own kitchen and start saving money immediately in your grocery bill and with your medical bills as those.
Was it hard to give up coffee or tea, or have you?
Oh, no. I'm so glad you asked that, because when I was in my 30s, I suffered with depression. And I was on antidepressants for about 5 years. And those stupid pills were $2 a piece. Being a single mom, it was killing me. I didn't have insurance to pay for it. Number one, and number two, I just didn't like taking the pills. And nothing I did would get rid of them. I kept trying to let those things go. Finally, someone said, it might be the caffeine in your diet. I'm like, really? Oh my goodness. And of course, I was drinking 2 and 3 64-ounce Diet Cokes every single day. That's where I was getting my caffeine. So I went to caffeine-free, and immediately I let those pills go and never went back. That's what took care of it. What ended up happening, though, was when I went off chocolate for a long time, because I knew chocolate was something I wanted to get away from. It has too much sugar in it. It has caffeine. It has theobromine in it, and it's very, which causes you to be so addicted to it. So in all different ways, it just wasn't. I just didn't want it. And I went back to buying M&Ms. I figured, little small ones. Well, when you sit and eat the whole Costco bag, you kind of get. If your right arm causes you to sin, you cut it off. That's what the Bible says. That's what it means. It's like, okay, I got to get rid of this. And so what I found, though, was that by eating all that chocolate, my depression was coming back. So it was very easy for me to get away from it from that standpoint, because chocolate and caffeine, causes depression and anxiety. And if you watch some things like news report was done with a news reporter, she did a MRI. She had an MRI done before she drank any coffee. Then she went and drank 1 cup of Starbucks coffee. And that MRI showed 40% blood flow loss immediately to the brain. And we think we're...
As bad?
I don't know. I know that there's still caffeine in it, but when you're stepping from one step to, heck yeah, that's better than the other. But I have gotten completely away from it, and I never thought I would ever see the day where I loved water. That's all I drink. I don't like sodas. I don't like any of that stuff. It just naturally. It's because every step I keep taking just automatically just falls away. I don't want it. So.
Chocolate is a huge issue for me too.
Is it?
Big. And so I've done a lot of research on the raw cacao, and there's a lot of great recipes with raw
It's
cacao.
huge in caffeine. It's huge. It's bigger than chocolate. If I did that, you wouldn't see me off the moon for 2 days. Raw cacao is what she was saying. Raw cacao.
And what about?
That's raw chocolate.
Right.
It has a lot more caffeine in it. I can't touch it.
Oh, it has.
Oh yeah, a lot more caffeine. So yeah, that my motivating factor in being able to get off these things is how it makes me feel. So yes.
What about for arthritis?
In what respect?
What do you recommend that helps with that?
Oh my goodness, the same thing. Diet and lifestyle. With what you just said about the chocolate, my 10-day cleanse, that was my problem, was chocolate and sugar. I could just hear this voice saying, it's time to get off the sugar, Terry. And it's like, I want to, but it's got a hold of me. And I'm answering your question along with this because I was just laying there sick as a dog, prepared to go to this, wanting to go to this 10-day that I had the opportunity to work in and be a participant in it in 3 days. And I'm down sick for the 5th time, like what I told you. I ended up going on Sunday, but I had to go back home, which is 2 hours away, and do some more therapy to get better, because I had, it relapsed. And then the next day, thank God I got back there, because when I got done, my addiction to sugar and chocolate was gone. Gone. There was no desire. In 10 days, gone. I could sit there and look at this stuff and go, has no appeal. Number one, because I got the poisons out. Number 2, because I had something to replace it with that tasted just as good, that didn't, choke me to death, eating it. When you do this, and get these poisons out, especially, doing like a 10-day cleanse, and then really kind of reboot yourself. Oh my goodness, people all the time it's reversing their arthritis and their blood pressure and their cholesterol and their diabetes and cancers and everything just in 10 days. If you don't go that route and you just eat the raw, you absolutely will get there. If you, especially, and even if you eat whole plant-based 80 to 90% raw, you'll still get there. But I'm going to tell you another thing. This lady that went into the cleanse, just to show you that what goes in does not always come out. Most of it does not come out. This woman could be, I don't remember how old she is, any one of our ages here. She expelled a crayon in her 10-day cleanse. You wouldn't believe what comes out of your body in 10 days.
From when she was a kid?
When she was a kid. She says, I haven't touched crayon since I was a kid. Yeah. So you got all these poisons built up in you. And that's the reason why I was going downhill, because I had those poisons built up, plus I was not, and like, what we're talking about, the addictions are just like screaming at you. I want to let it go, but I can't. So this is a real good way to just reboot the system and really get that victory and have the diseases reverse themselves.
When you do the cleanse, so you do a lot of juices.
For 5 days, we do juicing with therapies, special therapies that enable the body to, because the body is going to be letting go a lot of toxins. That's the reason why a lot of people fail in their first few days, is because they got massive headaches, they're really sick and so forth, and they don't really understand that this is actually toxins trying to get out. So we do special therapies to absorb those toxins and get them out very quickly every single day, so that there's virtually, I worked in my 10 days, in this 10-day program. I served, 10 people while I was going through my 10-day class. I think it was by the grace of God also, because my second cleanse that I helped others with, I had to start eating because I was feeling weak and tired. It's not a situation where when you do a 10-day that you want to work. Ideally, you want to be in an ambulatory, but you're not. There's things that you can do if you have somebody taking you through it to show you how to do these things that will save you a whole lot of pain. So for the first 5 days, we're doing that. You're learning how to cleanse all of the eliminating organs of the body: the liver, the kidneys, the gallbladder, the colon, the lungs, the skin, the blood. All of those are your eliminating organs. That's a sewage system of the body, and it's all backed up. So you got to learn how to get that all cleansed. So we do that for the first 5 days, and then we start eating raw for the next 5 days. And so we start to rebuild the body and teach you how to make these things at the same time. So that's how it goes. You're not. Some people that are really sick or just want to just do pure juicing for 10 days. That's an option too. But that can be either or.